Karma can be such a beautiful thing, especially when it is felt by a terrible MAGA Republican. And that is exactly what we just saw happen to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who was booed so senselessly in an appearance at a WWE event that he just had to run out and leave, cowering in shame. It was so delicious to watch. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, you may have forgotten that Ron DeSantis has even existed after his failed presidential run, so before we get into him getting booed, I want to see one of the reasons why, his defense of Donald Trump right here.
But that's not what the ruling class believes, the Democrat Party. And they've put these judges in place who I think, Governor, are there to protect this massive bureaucracy. That's one of the reasons they keep ruling against Trump, to protect and expand their own powers. That is, Woodrow Wilson, the others, talking about these unelected branches of government who are going to rule over us. Isn't this the defining point? Isn't this the time and the day that we've got to stop this? Because otherwise it's going to spread like a cancer?
Well, yes. I mean, look, you and I have been talking about this for many, many years, you even much longer than me. But if you went back and during the debates about ratifying the Constitution, and you would have said that under this Constitution, a district judge would be able to neuter the president's ability on a nationwide basis to discharge the duties of his office. If the founding generation believed that the Constitution actually authorized that, it would not have been ratified. It would have been viewed as so outside the bounds of what is acceptable that there's no way it would have even passed muster. So yes, these judges are serving a political role, a partisan role, and it's to throw whatever sand in the gears they can to prevent President Trump from being successful.
No, I don't know if Ron DeSantis understands the state that he's governor of, but the hospitality and service industry in Florida, along with our agriculture industry, needs people to work jobs. An overwhelming amount of those people are immigrants. And what is vital to our economy is having a country that is welcoming to people, not terrifying both, so people can work and they want to come and visit Florida. Tourism powers our economy. And Ron DeSantis is defending government overreach, something that if it was Joe Biden, he'd be screaming and lighting his hair on fire. But when it's Donald Trump, when he's violating the rule of law, when he's wiping his butt with the Constitution, when he's breaking apart our government piece by piece in an effort to only serve himself and his rich friends, which I guess are Ron DeSantis's rich friends as well, because he had a campaign built on billionaire dollars, then he's fine with it. So yeah, it's no surprise that he's becoming a bit more than just a little unpopular in his state every single day, losing those popularity points. And it's also because Ron DeSantis is engaging in his own bit of corruption, which we can see in this article right here. Prosecutors open investigation related to Hope Florida Foundation. Prosecutors have opened an investigation related to the Hope Florida Foundation, the nonprofit behind the welfare program that has been touted as the signature achievement of First Lady Casey DeSantis. A public records custodian in the office of the Second Judicial Circuit State Attorney Jack Campbell confirmed the existence of an open, ongoing investigation Tuesday in response to a record request from the Associated Press. Questioned by reporters at an event Tuesday in Tampa highlighting the work of Hope Florida, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis defended the initiative, which uses state employees to help connect Floridians in need with faith institutions and community-based nonprofits and wean them off government assistance. I believe in this program deeply, and I stand by it 100%. This is a rewiring of the way that government operates, the First Lady said. It's a model for the nation. Instead of saying, here's a handout, let's give you hope and a hand up to live up to your God-given potential, she added. State lawmakers in DeSantis' own party have been scrutinizing the program and its nonprofit foundation, which gave $10 million from a state Medicaid settlement to two nonprofits. Those groups in turn gave millions to a political committee chaired by DeSantis' then chief of staff that campaigned against a failed referendum on recreational marijuana. On Tuesday, Mark Wilson, the president of the Florida Chamber of Congress and chair of one of the nonprofits that received the grants, appeared at the event with the governor and first lady to highlight businesses that were collaborating with Hope Florida. DeSantis has dismissed the investigation of Hope Florida as a politically motivated smear against his wife, who he's floated as his potential successor when he terms out in 2026. Yeah, I don't think it's a smear when you're giving money through the state budget to political action committees for your own issues. It seems like blatant corruption to me, but that's what MAGA is all about, so I guess it really shouldn't come as a shock. Certainly not something that people are getting excited about in the state of Florida because, like I said, Ron DeSantis boomed so badly he had to scurry away. And I want to take a look right here. You suck. Ron DeSantis hit with savage chants at WWE show. Florida's governor given rough ride by wrestling fans in Tampa. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was hit with a hail of boos and chants of "you suck" as he attended WWE's Saturday night's main event in Tampa over the Memorial Day weekend. The former Republican presidential candidate, 46, appeared ringside at the Yuengling Center to wave to the crowd, but was not greeted with the warm reception he had evidently been expecting. Instead, he found himself having to grin and clap along awkwardly, which is all he ever does, as the animosity rained down from local wrestling fans who made it abundantly clear what they have thought of him. A moment captured in a number of videos filmed in the arena and shared online and social media can show it all, as we see right here. Oh, how the mighty-ish have fallen. I don't really think DeSantis was ever that much of a powerhouse. I just think he was awful. He yelled a lot. He lied a lot about Joe Biden and COVID and Dr. Fauci. His voice is grainy and horrible. He makes that weird little face. He wore his cute little boots, and then it all fell apart. So I don't really know if we could say the mighty have fallen. I just think he's humiliated himself on the national stage, which is really great for us. I'll take it as a win. It was pretty funny to watch. But that's what happens when you associate yourself and eventually capitulate Donald Trump. You will be humiliated. If you do his bidding, it's bound to backfire. And hopefully that happens for another Floridian, the former attorney general of the state, who has been breaking the law on behalf of Donald Trump. That was Pam Bondi, who was called out in front of Congress by Cory Booker. And I want to take a look at that right here.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to make 3 points very quickly and ask for some oversight hearings. Trump's Department of Justice has taken numerous concerning actions that demand the committee to exercise constitutional oversight. We are a co-equal branch in a government with checks and balances, and we need to address these issues in hearings. There are 3 concerning DOJ actions that I hope we can discuss, Mr. Chairman. First, we have the issue of due process-less deportations. This week, the conservative Cato Institute reported that over 50 of the Venezuelans imprisoned in El Salvador came to the U.S. legally with advanced U.S. government permission and entered at an official border crossing. Most Americans have only heard of Kilmar Obrego Garcia, but this report from the Cato Institute makes clear he is not the only person who was deported by the Trump administration without due process, who was legally in the United States. I'd like to, without objection, I'd like to enter this Cato report into the record. I want to reiterate the committee's request, led by my colleague Senator Welsh, for an oversight hearing into the circumstances surrounding the deportations of more than 200 people removed to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Acts, including the 50 individuals who, I repeat, entered the country legally through with our permission and are now in what is one of the more awful prisons on this planet. Mr. Chairman, you have for decades led and championed the Senate Judiciary Committee's exercise of our oversight, and we need to know who are these 50 people. Can we at least confirm their names and that they're still alive? And understand that an assault on due process anywhere is a threat to the due process rights everywhere. We have seen a 9-0 Supreme Court affirm that. Secondly, at last week's markup, you talked about the Department of Justice's cancellations of public safety grants. Here I have an unanswered letter I wrote on April 30th that was signed by every Democratic member of this committee and 30 Democratic senators total, which I'd like to enter into the record.
Is there objection? I hear none, so it's entered.
We were asking the department for information about the Office of Justice Program's abrupt decisions to cancel at least 365 public safety grants on April 22nd, 2025 that serve crime victims and improve public safety, totaling an estimated $500 million. These are programs that were supported in a bipartisan way that have led to more safety and security and strength in our community. Some of them have helped victims of crime, and they have been unjustly canceled. On the day of this letter, DOJ defunded programs that prosecutors, police, and sheriff's departments, judges, mental health service providers, academics, and more depend upon to keep America safe. This is an outrage to all of us on this committee who share a commitment to public safety, to have resources that we put out that were being effective in an evidence-based way, to have them stopped by this administration demands that we at least have an oversight hearing to provide, to get a justification, or at the very least have letters responded to. Finally, Mr. Chairman, the Justice Department dismissed several civil rights cases against pattern and practice agencies of law enforcement yesterday. Almost 5 years to the day, this country watched in horror, and we all condemned, when a now convicted criminal, then a police officer, used deadly force to murder George Floyd. The Justice Department Civil Rights Division thereafter investigated the Minneapolis Police Department's pattern and practices of constitutional violations and proposed a fair, court-enforceable consent order to prevent future police misconduct, but to improve the excellence of police accountability and professional standards. They did the same in Louisville, Kentucky, after Breonna Taylor was killed by police during a no-knock raid that was condemned by people on this committee and beyond in a bipartisan way. Yesterday, AG Bondi's Justice Department dropped both consent decrees in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Louisville, Kentucky, where neutral investigations and attorneys found evidence of constitutional and civil rights violations by those law enforcement agencies. Without more than saying that the consent decrees were, quote, no longer in the public interest, the department dismissed those cases along with 6 other investigations where it had shown a pattern and practice of the constitutional violations against American citizens.
These Florida Republicans really not fans of the law, are they? Trump, Bondi, Rick Scott, Marco Rubio, of course, Byron Donalds, throw him in that mix, that proxy vote that we talked about, him breaking a law that he claims he loves. Yeah, these people aren't really sticking to the values that they claim to have, are they? Not a shock, though. We're going to keep calling them out. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.